Live from Fargo and serving you on TV, online, and on the go. This is Valley News Live at 5.
A powerful storm with hurricane-force winds is headed for the valley. Here's a glimpse of the storm making its way to our region. This video is from our sister station in Colorado. They're experiencing whiteout conditions on the roads, and that's causing numerous accidents. The wind whipped up the snow and dumped it on Coors Field in downtown Denver. The National Weather Service has reported wind gusts of up to 80 miles per hour. That's as strong as a Category 1 hurricane. This storm has potential to be one for the record books, and Fargo officials are begging residents to stay off roads and hunker down inside. There's a lot to talk about with this storm, so let's go right away to Hutch for more details. Hutch?
Well, first and foremost, as you've been seeing crawling across the bottom of your screen, we are under a blizzard warning in the FM area through the northern Red River Valley and northwest Minnesota into the central portion of the Dakotas. That's surrounded by winter storm warnings for Lake of the Woods, County, Minnesota, and winter weather advisories across Lakes Country. Here's a look at a few flakes mixing in with some little bit of freezing drizzle and rain working its way through the FM area. Here are the impacts. Impossible travel is likely, and that begins this evening. Possible roof collapses. That's certainly going to put some stress on structures with heavy snow, downed branches and power lines. Areas of icing will be likely with sleet and freezing rain. Localized street flooding, particularly in areas that get significant rain. There'll be a threat to livestock, and because the winds will be so strong, overturned vehicles will be a possibility as we go through the overnight hours. Here is what's taking place. Heavy rain, Lakes Country, Becker and Otter Tail counties. The pink, that is a mess of sleet, and we do have accumulating sleet reported in the Wahpeton area. A little bit of that pushing into the FM area right now. On the west side of the system, things cold enough for snow for Valley City through Ellendale and Jamestown, and some of those bands are quite heavy. Now, we have a lot of impacts with this storm, Andrea. There's heavy snow potential, there is the icing potential, and everyone is going to experience that wind potential throughout the storm. Not hurricane strength expected here. We'll have details in hour-by-hour style on all of this here in just a few minutes.
All right, thanks, Hutch. The city of Fargo has issued an emergency declaration closing all city offices. This comes amid a possible historic blizzard, as we mentioned, expected to hit our area. An already stretched thin road crew has shut down lanes and restricted people from parking on streets. Valley News Team's Joshua Pagero joins us live now with more from the Public Works Department. Joshua?
Andrea, we're outside Fargo Public Works Department as crews are preparing to hit the streets. We just saw bulldozers getting serviced, as well as some of the heavy equipment coming through to fill up on gas. Right now, outside, as Hutch said, there seems to be some sleet that's falling and freezing rain, but we haven't got that snow yet. But the brunt of the storm isn't expected to hit us until tonight, and I'm joined live with the Fargo Public Works Supervisor Lee Anderson. Lee, what can you tell us? How are you going to tackle this storm tonight?
Well, the weather, the conditions are going to dictate what our priorities are. If it comes as freezing rain, snow will dictate what our priorities are. If it's rain, obviously our storm sewer inlet drains that are covered with snow and the ponding water that's currently on the streets, we're trying to address that as quick as possible, trying to deal with those. That'll probably be a priority if it's rain. If it's freezing rain, obviously, we'll have to have sanders and salting equipment out to make travel as safe as possible. If it's snow, we'll be in a plowing event. So there might be a little transition between all of that, but we'll do what it takes, and we'll try and take care of business as we need to.
Okay. Well, thank you so much. We're going to be again live here in the 5 just to give you an update and the latest information regarding this possible historic blizzard. And Mr. Anderson will also join us live in 5:30 in order to give some tips on what you can do to make life easier for some of the road crew staff out there that are going to be plowing. So I'm going to send it right back to you live in the studio, reporting live. Joshua Pagero, Valley News Live.
All right, thank you, Joshua. We'll check back in with you in a few minutes, as you mentioned. And with folks planning for even more snow, some were trying to be ahead of the game and get the snow we already have removed. But with such an abundance of the white stuff, they're finding it's not an easy task.
I was at the point where I was just anyone who said I'm doing rooftop removal, I was messaging them, and so was my husband. But we had a lot of people say we can come and do an estimate on Thursday or Friday, which we wanted off the roof before this big storm comes in today.
One snow removal company tells us his work has doubled with all the snow, and he's not taking any more customers as he has too much on his plate with the ones already under contract. Many people in the valley have been getting ready for the big storm, either by running to the grocery store or filling up their gas tanks. A few people in Grand Forks were doing their last-minute preparations, stocking up on essentials like food.
I get chicken out driving in that with the streets and around the intersections are so bad that the older I get, the more chicken I get about driving out in this weather.
Lorna points out that it's important for people to stay inside during storms like this because safety should always come first. Devastated, confused, and upset. That's how Fargo business owners are feeling, some of them after having to vacate the building where their businesses are located on 13th Avenue South. The roof there is collapsing and the place is surrounded with caution tape. And now those tenants want to know what's next. Their customers are waiting and they can't give them answers because they're looking for them too. Valley News Team's Melanie Palmer has more on the issue.
Yesterday was pretty devastating for me.
Kathleen Seward owns Helping Hands, and today was supposed to be a special day. She was set to move in this building, but instead, she can't get into her own business.
I have no options right now, so I'm just kind of waiting to hear from somebody, anybody.
Seward says she and her fellow tenants noticed leaks in the building on Monday. They also spotted the roof bulging, so they called Prairie Property Management about it. That's the company that manages the building. But another business owner from the same building, Tanya Peterson, says she never got an answer.
Sat here and waited for somebody to come out, and nobody came out.
And now the condition of the building is so serious, they're not allowed back in.
Creaking and popping and groaning right now. It just did it again.
And this is a particularly big deal for the owner of a tailor shop in this building. She has prom dresses, wedding dresses, and has no idea what's going to happen to them. She says she too has no answers. We talked with someone from Prairie Property Management to see what the future holds for these business owners. They tell us they are working with their insurance carrier, contractors, and engineers as quickly as possible to determine the most efficient and safest way to remedy the current situation. And as for the business owners like Seward,
So what's next for you guys? I mean,
they are left on the outside of their business, looking in, not knowing what to tell their customers. In Fargo, Melanie Palmer, Valley News Live.
The Fargo Fire Department tells us the area around the building isn't safe either, and they say with the heavy snow coming our way, there's a good chance the building will collapse soon. Heavy snow has caused major damage to another building in the metro. This time it's an elementary school. Firefighters say school staff at Centennial Elementary School were concerned about sagging in the roof last night. They were aware of the problem and had been working on snow removal, but eventually called in police and fire officials around 9:30 p.m. No one was hurt in the partial collapse. Luckily, Fargo schools are on spring break, so students were already scheduled to have the day off. Maintenance crews expect students will be able to go back to school on Monday, but sections of the building may be blocked off. Volunteers with the Minnesota chapter of Moms Demand Action for Gun Sense in America joined state officials in a rally today, hoping to encourage state senators to hold hearings on the red flag bill. It's a bill that would require criminal background checks for all gun sales in the state. State elected officials say the bill brings Minnesota one step closer to keeping guns out of the hands of dangerous people. The House Public Safety Committee voted 10-7 last month in favor of the red flag bill.
We're going to do something that makes common sense. If someone shows themselves to be at risk of harming themselves or other people, there should be a mechanism in place in the law to ensure that they don't have access to a gun.
The second part of the bill, up for a House vote, would allow background checks on most gun sales and transfers in Minnesota. One day down, one more to go. Crews were busy today in West Fargo setting bridge beams for the new Cheyenne Diversion Bridge south of I-94 on Cheyenne Street. They started at 11 this morning. The plan is to work today and again on Friday, unloading and setting 4 bridge beams for the north span of the bridge. Drivers in that area will be affected because trucks will be stopped in the southbound lane while they're unloading. So you're encouraged to avoid that area. You may have done so today, and you're encouraged to do the same thing on Friday when crews will resume their work from 11 a.m. until 3 p.m.